Hey guys, I'm gonna do the video quick, but hopefully not too rushed. I'm gonna do a more detailed video when Luffy vs. Kaido fight has been fully animated, but episode 1071 and 72 have shown enough that I can use to enlighten those current in the anime. Warning, this video will have spoilers for One Piece up to episodes 1072 and or chapter 1045, and a small spoiler in chapter 1070. Stay tuned. Jumping right into it, I want to first debunk one of the main claims I hear made by those who don't quite understand what's going on, and then repeated by casuals and doubters, the claim that Luffy is doing nothing more than using his awakened Paramecia Devil Fruit to make his surroundings the same property associated with his Devil Fruit, and there are a few things we can look at to show what I'm talking about for those that missed it. We see Kaido mistakenly assume, as he says himself, that Luffy is a Paramecia and that his awakenings is the same as Doflamingo and Katakuri's. He then remarks that it's strange because Luffy's transformation is apparently exclusive to zone type Devil Fruits. He says later that he has never seen anything like what Luffy is doing, which is significant because he has seen awakened Paramecias before, so it would make sense that Luffy is not a Paramecia and that he is not simply making his surroundings rubber. Misguided doubters claim that making Kaido rubber is in line with awakened Paramecia abilities, but even Kaido, who assumed that thought for them, questioned why he was being made into rubber, as if that was not in line with what awakened Paramecias do. Toon Force, but let's look at official data books and statements from Oda, and it's crazy that doubters try to use these same scans and apparently still don't know what they're reading. Here it says mythical zone devil fruits have abilities akin to Paramecia. Akin or similar, like I've seen in another translation as well as in the definition of akin. What Luffy is doing is similar to Dofi and Kaido, not the same. Here it says zone type awakenings don't affect their surroundings, instead the user gets a new transformation. The transformation being Gear 5, the reincarnation of Joy Boy and modeled after Sun God Nika, who one or the two or both were evidently capable of Toon Force. And as you can plainly see, zone type awakenings don't affect their surroundings. It's Luffy's Toon Force, not his awakening. Let's look at Luffy's ability to take damage now. Previously, Luffy getting hit by the Kanabo directly resulted in him being put down for the count each time, even the time before Joy Boy came. Yeah, Luffy got hit directly by that Thunder Bagu, and after that, I'm pretty sure he died, but he was reborn as the GOAT. The GOAT who ate 3 direct hits from the Kanabo comedically. And people still think this is not Toon Force. Like, he's literally taking attacks that should kill him for comedy. Like, does that not sound like Bugs? Does that not sound like SpongeBob? Does that not sound like Popeye? Maybe not Popeye, but definitely Bugs and SpongeBob. Toon Force. Another thing I hear people say is, Luffy doesn't have Toon Force because, unlike the other Toon characters, Luffy doesn't die after getting hit or they can't die. When have you seen Gear 5 die? Gear 5 has Toon Force. Now, base Luffy doesn't have Toon Force. Gear 4 Luffy doesn't have Toon Force. Gear 5 Luffy has Toon Force. And until y'all show me Gear 5 Luffy dying, Luffy can't die with his Toon Force. Look at this blast breath, which was shown to be strong enough to destroy Odin Castle, the mountain on it, and a few surrounding ones. Luffy then proceeds to run across the air back over to Kaido. Toon Force. Let's look at some more scans though. As this entry from Oda says, anything is possible for Luffy, and he has unparalleled freedom to fight in any way that defies common sense. On the same page, it reminds us that even Kaido was surprised by his adaptability, and that when Luffy sends an enemy flying, sound effects are heard and stars appear, and finally reminds us that Kaido said it was something out of a picture book, or comic strip as the manga and anime worded it. Speaking of the anime, let's look at some more Toon feats. Kaido is about to hit Luffy with a blast breath. His eyes pop out further from his face than we have ever seen in the anime, and he proceeds to grab them and push them back in his head. Toon Force. Right after he jumps up and hits the screen of the anime to bounce back down to grab the earth and deflect the blast back at Kaido. Toon Force. Now, real fast, here's that chapter 1070 spoiler, but Luffy turns his hair into goggles. I don't know who animated this little clip, but it's cool, so I had to grab it from the reposter. Shout out to Jovsky Animation, I think, but Toon Force. And before I close out, I'm so glad I procrastinate sometimes because it allowed me to be able to include this in the video. But Crunchyroll, popular streaming service of anime and other Eastern media, founded in 2006 and holder of acknowledged anime awards and conventions, has showed they believe Luffy has Toon Force. So with the compiled evidence in this video, it's extremely clear that Monkey D. Luffy, in his Gear 5th form, however long he can maintain it, has Toon Force. A low tier one admittedly, so not on the level of characters like Bugs, Popeye, or SpongeBob, but Toon Force nonetheless. And I want to point out that a lot of people who were just swearing that Luffy has no Toon Force have switched their stance to Luffy has low tier Toon Force, like we didn't notice the backtrack. But I've said enough for now. One Piece fans are up. One Piece Bros for life, Luffy blinks, Mujiwara forever, Nakama till death. Check out my meme page on Facebook and other social media. I'm gone.